Thanks for staying with us tonight here on the Ed Show on MSNBC. If you think you don't have skin in the game if the Republicans shut down the government, let me tell you something. You better start thinking differently because, you know, like if you need a passport, can't get it done. Planning a visit to a national park or monument? Too bad, can't get there. 9 million visitors were shut out in the last shutdown, costing $14 million a day in lost business. Now, if you're a business that relies on those visitors, too bad. Now, I was wondering, are you a veteran who relies on benefit checks, GI Bill, educational support, or just needs someone at the VA to answer your questions? Too bad. They won't be there. More than 400,000 had to wait for their checks in the last shutdown. This has got real ramifications. Do you work for a government contractor or work for someone who supplies them? Well, too bad. Are you a state or local worker whose salary is subsidized and helped out by federal funds? Well, you're going to be affected. Live near a toxic waste site getting cleaned up by those government workers and government money? Now you get the picture. 600 cleanups were suspended in the last shutdown. If you're applying for Social Security or Medicare, or you need treatment from the National Institutes of Health, or if you're perfectly healthy but you'd like to get warnings about the spread of contagious disease from the Centers for Disease Control, too bad. They won't be in business. Now, here's one for you. If you're in real estate or your business is tied to the housing market, this is going to be a tough one. The last shutdown jammed up deals going through the Federal Housing Administration so badly that it was blamed for the downturn in the housing market. Now, if you live in the country and you have a stake in the economy, directly or indirectly, your skin is deeply thick. Big time in this game, my friend. And if you don't like that Republicans are willing to shut it down just to appease the Tea Party, well, too bad, because that looks the way it's going. Let's bring in a veteran of the last shutdown, former Clinton Labor Secretary Robert Reich. He's now the professor of public policy at UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy. Professor, thanks for your time tonight. I sense that this shutdown will be much more severe than the last one. Do you agree with that? And tell us why. What do you think?
Undoubtedly, it will be more severe, Ed, because all of the areas you just mentioned, people are more dependent on today, many of them because they don't have jobs, because they are dependent on social services that will be slowed down or will not be available. You know, the economy today is much worse than the economy was in 1995 in the last shutdown. So we're facing, not Armageddon, but we are facing a public that is really going to be in trouble in many respects.
What risk does it pose to our recovery?
A huge risk to the recovery, not just the shutdown, but also just, deficit cutting right now is crazy. I mean, no economist that I know thinks that when you've got so many millions of people unemployed, when you have 8.9% unemployment rate, when you've got so many millions more who are working part-time, that cutting government spending is the right thing to do. I mean, you create more unemployment. Fewer people have jobs. Fewer people have paychecks to buy things. I mean, this is nuts. This is going in exactly the wrong direction. And if you shut down the government on top of that, there are even fewer paychecks.
Have the Democrats given too much, in your opinion? They agreed tonight to $33 billion in cuts to try to get Boehner to move and do a deal with the Tea Party. What do you think?
I don't know why the Democrats are dealing at all, frankly. I think what the Democrats ought to be saying is that right now it's nuts to try to cut the budget deficit. And by the way, if you want additional money, Republicans, you were the ones who said to extend the Bush tax cuts to people who are very rich in this country. If you hadn't done that, we'd have enough money right now to fund anything you want to cut. That is, we would not have the kind of budget deficit we have right now. I mean, if I were a Democrat negotiating with the Republicans right now, I would make sure that the public understood that we're in the problem we're in partly because of the giant Republican tax cuts to the very wealthy.
Does the president need to get in this game, Mr. Reich? What do you think?
Well, I think the president needs to say to the public what's at stake, to explain to the public why these tax cuts are ill-advised, ill-timed, why we do want to bring down the budget deficit over the long term, but why now is exactly the wrong time, and why shutting the government is going to make everything worse off. I mean, it's, we are so far off the rails. We are so far in the right wing right now that the president, I think, has to show some leadership and explain to the public what is actually at stake and what is going on.
Robert Reich, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it so much.